Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall, Psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast. Look, I hope you've had an absolutely amazing week wherever you are in this planet of ours. It's, there's always something happening locally as there is globally, and it's sort of one of those really busy times in history where the US goes to the polls today to vote for their next president. Here in Australia, yes, well, most of us here have been, sort of a bit ambivalent probably about what's going on in the US, but I like to keep up with it, and I've been watching it just before the show, and it's always fascinates me how people react to sort of voting day, no matter where it is around the world. Everybody has an opinion and everybody sort of believes they're right. I mean, it's your voice, it's your vote. Don't forget to cast your vote if you haven't already done so in the US. And then, then you've got a right to sort of have an opinion about what happens to your country. Anyway, let's get on with the show. The Simply Tarot card of the week this week I thought was rather an appropriate card for the fact of what's going on in the US and here in Australia too. We've just had elections and we've got more of them coming up. It's the Hanged Man. It's called Getting Stronger in Oneself After a Lot of Deliberating and Delays in Your Life. So the Hanged Man is meant to be upside down because it's sort of like a suspended animation situation. There he is hanging upside down, having a good time, saying that that's okay. I've had a lot of time to think about things. I've deliberated. I've looked at things. I've looked at everything from every angle. I've made my final decision, and now I feel that my life can start to go forward. Now, for many of us, we might be feeling a little bit stuck in our lives at the moment, that we've been a little bit like the hangman for the most of 2024, trying to get everything back on track and trying to get our finances on track and our lives and all that sort of stuff. And whether we want to admit it or not, we're still feeling the effects, the after effects of COVID. The world has not got back to, quote, normal since then. There's still supply chain issues and things like that, and interest rates went through the roof, and lots of people had a different way of approaching work-life balance. And, some companies now are trying to force people back into the CBDs, into the cities, back into work. Who knows what will be the washout of all this? I mean, but for you on a personal level, it's time to sort of take a little breath and sort of look at what you've been able to achieve, particularly in this last 12 months. You might have felt like you've been hanging upside down sometimes and not being able to make a step forward, but you actually have been making some amazing progress by being able to sort of look at everything from every conceivable angle. And I think that's the important message here, that you are getting stronger, your decision making is clear, and we are able to move forward again in a more positive light. So the next few weeks we'll probably see a lot more positivity coming in as we head into the holiday season. Now, it's really, really interesting because I want to talk about, we have an astrology section on this show, and everybody sort of messages me during the week and says, how do you do this, Amanda? What I do is I actually look at the live chart probably half an hour before we go to air, and I make my conclusion then of what I'm going to talk about, of where the planet placements are and what's affecting the general population. I don't sit there and look at the 12 signs. We don't have enough time to do that, but I try and pick out what I see as the highlight package and then describe it to you on the show, that how it's going to affect each and every one of the 12 star signs. So we're starting off with Scorpio this week. Happy birthday to all the Scorpios. This is a very intense time of the year, but it's also a fun time of the year. People sort of hear that word Scorpio and they go, oh no, I don't know, I want to fall in love with the Scorpio. There is absolutely nothing wrong with Scorpio people. Yes, they can be intense. Yes, they can be have deep emotions and emotions that run very deep, but they can also be very fun-loving and very great people to have in your life, because once you've made a friend with a Scorpio, other than you doing something really drastic, they will be like your friend for life. They will stick to you like super glue. They really do have that intensity there, that once they like somebody and they put their faith and their trust into somebody, they don't let go. Yes, they have very, very deep emotions, and yes, sometimes they're difficult to understand. But on the flip side, if you want a really intense, exciting lover, Scorpio is the one. Out of the 12 signs, they're the most intense, sexy, romantic signs that you could ever have. By the same token, if you cross a Scorpio, watch out, because you'll get the sting in the tail. They don't appreciate that, and they don't really endorse somebody misbehaving or playing up in a relationship. But, if you want a really secure, intense, loving, romantic relationship, Scorpio is your partner. So anyway, happy birthday to all the Scorpios. Now, for the moment, Mercury, the planet of communication, is sitting in Sagittarius. So what this means is Mercury is sort of being very vocal, is being very outspoken, might be a little bit fiery, a little bit outspoken. Everybody's going to have an opinion about things. So this is not the time to get into the discussion about politics, no matter where you are in the world, because everybody's opinion will be right and yours will be wrong, unless, of course, you're all on the same side. So Mercury in Sagittarius is mainly affecting the fire signs, which is Sagittarius, Aries and Leo, the opposite sign of Gemini, but it is also washing over the remaining 8 signs. So make sure if you've got something to say that you've got all your facts straight, that you're not going in a fiery, pig-headed, bombastic sort of manner, that yes, it's nice to be enthusiastic. Yes, it's nice to understand what you're talking about and be passionate about it, but don't try and throw it down someone else's throat. Give them the opportunity to have an opinion or to speak their mind, because they may just bring something worthwhile to the table or to the discussion that maybe you hadn't thought of. So, it's a time for a little bit of give and take on a communication level. When we've got Mercury in any sort of fire sign, there's more chance of people having an argument or a disagreement or things getting out of control because tempers get a bit flared. Now, that's why I'm stressing to you, no matter who you're talking to, no matter what their star sign, make sure that you do it in a diplomatic sort of way and give them a chance to have the floor as well. It's not always just about you and your opinion. Other people's opinions matter also. We have Mars, the planet of action, is also sitting in a fire sign, is sitting in Leo. So again, it's going to be affecting the fire signs, which is Leo, Sagittarius and Aries, and the opposite sign of Aquarius. It will wash over the other 8 signs. Now, Mars has only just gone into Leo. So Mars going into Leo is going to be about, Mars is the planet of action. It's the one that makes us get out of bed of a morning. It's the one that gives us our drive to be able to get up and get motivated and do different things in our lives. And Mars here is asking you to get out there and strut your stuff in almost like a Leo fashion. The Leo fashion is like, I like to get out there and I like to be seen. I want to be on the centre stage. I want people to take notice of me, people to love me. Well, yes, all of that is applicable, but let's do it in a watered down sort of version, in something that's maybe a little bit more palatable to most people. That yes, you can get out there and strut your stuff. And yes, you can. It is the time to sort of maybe go in and ask for that raise at work or sort of discuss the promotion with the boss, but don't go in there full of bravado. Go in there, full of confidence, yes, but also go in there and listen to what they might have to say. They may say, yeah, look, I've been considering you for a promotion, but XYZ, I feel that you need to do some more study, or you need to upskill, or maybe you need to tone down your attitude, or whatever the case may be. Listen to it, because it is constructive. It's not a definite no. They're showing you the way forward of you being able to achieve your dreams. So it's a time, if you're looking to start something new, it's the time to sort of, yes, the motivation, the energy's there. Make sure that you've got all the details correct. Sometimes I think we go into things and we're not exactly prepared for things the way that we should be. We go into things and thinking we're prepared, and then halfway through we realise we haven't done our due diligence. So this is where Mars can give you that extra push to sort of say, make sure that you've double-checked, triple-checked everything, that everything's in its place and everything's where it should be. We also have Venus, the planet of love and affection, is sitting in a fire sign. So there's a lot of fire sign energy around at the moment. Venus is sitting in Sagittarius. Now, of course, it's going to be affecting the fire signs, Aries, Leo, and the opposite sign of Gemini. But Venus, the planet of love and affection, is washing over all the other signs. So my answer to that is, if you're seeking love, or you're looking for a new relationship, or you just want to expand your horizons and the potential of maybe increasing the pool of people that you could be dating, make sure that you do it in a Sagittarian way. Now, the Sagittarian way is get out into the great outdoors. They love to be in the outdoors. They also like things like education, religion, anything that's higher mind stuff. So, if you've been thinking about enrolling in that course, or joining a group, or joining a discussion group, where you can meet people of the opposite sex or people of the same sex, if that's your preference, now's the perfect time to start exploring that and looking towards those sort of things, because this is where you need to be going. You need to be sort of stepping out of your comfort zone. Don't just go to the library and expect you're going to meet somebody, because you're not allowed to talk in the library for a start. But you need to be going places where there's a bit of action, there's a bit of enthusiasm. People are getting out to sporting events or concerts in the park, or something that sort of is in the great or outdoors, where, you've got a great influx of people and more chance of maybe meeting somebody. So if you're searching for love over this holiday season, my suggestion is get out into the great outdoors, even if it's cold where you are. Go ice skating, do something that's, go to a Christmas market, go to a jazz festival in the park, whatever might be on in your local area. Make sure that you sort of explore these opportunities and move forward. Now, I've been going on about Pluto on this show for probably as long as I've been on the show, which is over 7 years now. Pluto is winding up his very, very, very long journey that he's had in Capricorn. Now, Pluto will move into Aquarius and will not come back to into Capricorn for 220 plus years. So it won't be in our lifetime that we'll see Pluto make a transit through Capricorn again. So November 19th is when Pluto moves into Aquarius. Now, what this means for every sign, not just the earth signs, but we'll go through the earth signs first, which is Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo, and the opposite sign of Cancer, is Pluto's asking us to make sure, and it washes over all the other 8 signs, make sure that anything on an official level, situations that we need to sort out, anything like that is done. He's asking us to look at things. So he does rule things like government, big buildings, police stations, courthouses, anything officials, doctors, dentists, your telephone bill, your electricity bill, whatever, anything that needs attention. Now is the time. You've got till November 19 to make sure that these things are accurate, are in place, and that you've done everything that you need to do. Once he moves into Aquarius, there will be no more of this. So usually we find the intensity as a major planet like this, a slow-moving planet, is leaving a sign for the last time for a long time, or heading into a new sign at the very beginning. That's when we find the intensity is at its rawest, but particularly when it's coming to an end like this is of over 20 years, he really is going to ramp up the heat. He's going to really make sure that you've done everything that you need to do, regardless of your sign. And if you haven't done so, or if you haven't learnt the lessons, let me assure you, Pluto is a lesson that you will never, ever, ever forget. He is very intense, very fast-moving. Even though he's a slow-moving planet, he's fast-moving when he wants action, and particularly when things are drawing to an end. So we also have Uranus, the planet of the unusual and unexpected, is also sitting in an earth sign, is sitting in Taurus. Now, Uranus will be going retrograde or backwards in this sign until January 2025. Now, what this means is for the earth signs particularly, which is Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, and the opposite sign of Scorpio, with Uranus, the planet of the unusual and unexpected, a little bit like the Tower card in the tarot deck, it comes out of nowhere. It can be sudden, it can be good, it can be bad, or it's usually not in between. It's usually one or the other. But Uranus here is sort of trying to stir up your life. So anything that's outworn, not useful anymore, will be sort of stirred up, taken away from you, whatever. Be very careful of what you send out to the universe. If you're particularly one of those signs, don't send out to the universe, I hate my job, because Uranus will just hear, oh, he doesn't like the job, will take it away from them. Not the fact that you're having a bad day and you really do need the job, but you just got to adjust your thinking. And, you've got to be very, very careful. Uranus is forcing a lot of Tauruses, and I have a lot of Taurus friends and clients at the moment, that into sort of looking at their whole life right across the board and sort of looking at what they're being stubborn and pig-headed about. What do they need to change? What are they sort of saying, oh, no, I can't do that because? There's no such thing as because. There's always a solution. There's always an answer. It's just the fact that we're too stubborn to look at it, and I'm not a Taurus, by the way, but I'm using the word we generally, that we're too stubborn to look at it, or the answers are there and it's not the answer that we wanted or not the answer we expected, but maybe it's the only answer in the solution to the situation or the problem at hand, that maybe, pardon me, this is the way that we're meant to go, even though it's not been our first choice. So again, he will be there retrograde until January, making things a little bit more uncomfortable, a little bit more tricky. So if you are one of those signs, just make sure that you really sort of do heed the warnings, no matter what your star sign is. If you're being stubborn about something, come and look at it from another sort of angle. It's really, really important. So, it's a very busy time astrologically. There's a lot of planets going retrograde at the moment. A lot of planets are going to be shifting energy in the next few months. Too many for me to talk about pardon me, in this small segment, but what I want you to do is really listen to your inner voice. If something isn't working, sort of sit down and look at it again and say, okay, what have I missed? Is there something there that maybe I'm not looking at? Am I being too stubborn, regardless of your star sign? And reassess things if things aren't moving in the direction that you want. Usually when there's a blockage there like that, it's the universe asking us to have another look. Maybe there's another solution or another direction that we hadn't yet thought of. We're going to talk with Carol in Gary in Indiana. Are you there, Carol?
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, do you have a question I can answer for you, please, Carol?
I've had some financial ups and downs. Like for instance, I just had to replace a water heater. I had to replace my refrigerator. I'm a new homeowner. Will this ever end? Will I ever get caught up?
Well, I can appreciate where you feel like it's a never-ending barrel, isn't it, that you've got to keep dipping into and finding extra money because things keep happening. Look, I feel you're almost at the end, Carol. I don't think that there's any more major things like water heaters and things like that. There might be, some little things, some more what we term as nuisance value, like the toaster blows up or the kettle or something like that. Yeah, they're more nuisance value. They're not major ticket items. They're, something that you can replace, but you didn't want to have to find the money to do that at this point in time. It's interesting because the energy of where you're living, I actually think needs clearing. So, sometimes when we're in a place for a while or we move into a new place, there's a residue energy of somebody else's energy there that we need to sort of clear out. And it's sort of one of those things that, we move in, we clean and we do all those sort of things and place the furniture and put all the things in the closets and the cupboards and things like that, but we don't necessarily clear the energy. Now, there's a couple of simple ways of doing it. If you're into incense, you just shut up every door and window in each room and walk in and go up and down.
I sage regularly. I use
I think you need to do another clearing. I don't think the sage is working.
Okay, I also use Palo Santo for protection after I clear with the sage. Sage is for clearing, and I also have gridded my house all four corners with crystals, and it has gotten rid of my bad dreams. Now I do have some anxiety at night and can't sleep, and that's just recently, and I've had the flu. But I didn't know. Maybe I should adjust the grid and do it again.
Yeah, probably.
I haven't seen. Pardon me?
What they were showing me, look, there's nothing wrong with saging, don't get me wrong, and there's nothing wrong with using incense. But over the many years I've been in this industry, I've also found that you need to put something sweet back into the environment. It's all good to clear it out and have a very neutral energy, but we've got to replace it with something. And I quite often use vanilla as a cleansing, put that in an atomizer bottle and do the same thing as I would with the sage, and then that, spraying it in a little bit of water in a bottle then puts the sweetness back as well as the clearing. Sometimes it's a hard thing to say, but our energy gets used to the type of clearing that we're doing. It's like it becomes part of the norm, that it doesn't work as intensely as it does when we first start. Okay. So that's maybe just a suggestion for you, because they were showing me that the energy was unbalanced, that everything, as much as you were doing and were doing it correctly, it's out of balance a little bit. And I want to bring it back into balance for you so that we can then start to bring your finances back into balance again as well as your health and everything else. So, you're very close to that. And, listen to your own inner voice, your own guides, where they think you should go with this. I use personally a number of different forms of clearing. Sage is one. I use incense, and then other times I'll use vanilla extract in a squirty bottle with some water, and using the same thing. Like, I don't wet the furniture or anything. I'm just spraying it into the air. But that's quite often a way, or even put some vanilla essence on a cotton wool on a little plastic tray, on a window ledge, can do the same thing. We just need to put something back in there. We've cleansed, I think you've over cleansed everything, that it's so sterile that there's no sweetness coming back in. We want to start attracting again. And I feel that will fix that problem. But as far as your health's concerned, I think, you're not being well, I think was just your body's way of saying you needed a rest. It was just sort of like a reset button for you. I don't feel that's going to be an ongoing thing. And you will start to find that you will be able to start to sleep again in the next week or so. Your body will sort of re-regulate itself again and get back to where you need to be, which is good because, you've had a year of a lot of change, and it's sort of like this is the final little bit of everything being readjusted and realigned, if that makes sense to you.
Yes, it makes sense because that's true. I've had a lot of change in the last year and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, but see, they showed to me sort of as if more so this year or this last 12 months.
Oh, yeah. Lots of things. And so many things.
Yeah, and it's like now, I want to exhale out and just find the nearest chair and just relax, just give yourself a chance to chill and catch up with everything. It's not as if you haven't done the work all the way through. You have, but it's now sort of like time that I can sort of just sit back and sort of just breathe out, like just exhale and just be ready for the next stage. Anyway, that's where we've got to leave it, Carol. I wish you well with your journey forward. So we're going to speak with Don Nisha in Bethesda Day in Maryland, and I know I've probably got that wrong, and I apologise. How can I help you?
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you, sweetie. Have you got a question I can answer for you?
Yes. My question is, I'm worried about my husband. He's in jail, and his court date is on Friday, and I don't know if he's coming home, and I'm terminally ill. I have MS and a rare disease called MOG disease, and I have multiple seizures. And I have a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 5-year-old, and I'm bedridden. And he's my caregiver, and I have the paperwork stating that he's my caregiver, but I don't know what's going to happen with him. And I'm very sick and ill, and I'm very concerned.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear about all this. I mean, it must be really difficult trying to raise children on your own with all these conditions that you've got going on and without your caregiver being there. Look, the first thing that they showed me as you were talking to me about your husband and him being incarcerated was they were showing me the symbol of endings, change and transformation. So I have to take from that symbol being shown to me before you even shared with me about your health condition and the children that there is an ending coming. So the only way that there could be an ending is he's going to be released. Now, there may be some conditions attached to this, there might be more regular parole visits or something like that, or him having to check in or whatever. But I do feel that there's going to be an opportunity there for the family to be reunited. But I think there's going to be sort of what I'd say more official interference, like them coming and checking or him having to check in, things like that. But look, that to me is a small price to pay if we can reunite the family and that he can be there to help you and help you with the children and, take a bit of pressure off you. And that way you've got enough to deal with your health without not having somebody there to help you, and it must be extremely difficult, and it must be really difficult for him too, knowing that you're there with the children trying to manage by yourself.
Exactly.
And here he is. He's, look, I'm not saying he didn't do the wrong thing. He did. He knows that. But he's paid the price now. He's learnt from his mistakes. He's not going to do anything silly again. People do silly things every day. It's just a matter some people get caught and some people don't. And unfortunately, in a sense, and I'm saying unfortunately, your husband got caught because, his real role should be with you and the children and trying to make life as comfortable as possible for everybody. So I also sort of felt that there was going to be, I don't want to use the word intervention, but I'm going to say something happening that's coming from a government or an official situation that's going to intervene in the family life in a good way to sort of help you get some more help or help you get some more services or something like that overall will benefit the family and will help you immensely, like maybe somebody that can come in and do a bit of cleaning or something like that. There's things that are going to be offered. I don't want you to be too proud to say, oh, no, thank you, we don't need it. Please listen to what's being offered and even ask for a little bit of time to think about it. There's no reason why you can't sit down with your husband and discuss it and see whether or not it actually fits in with family life. Like, it's not the time, darling, to turn around and say, no, because you're so proud and so independent. And I understand that. But this will go a long way in sort of how quickly your husband comes out the other side of this as well. You know what I mean? Like, if you sort of agree to sort of some of assistance and help, it goes down on his file that we're all very cooperative, and that you really do have these conditions and they really are serious. Not just
Right.
sometimes people sort of see things and written down, they gloss over it, they don't take too much notice, even if it does come from a doctor or a specialist. In this instance, we need to make sure that we get you as much help as possible from everywhere. So don't say no to something,
Exactly.
sweetie. It'll make life a lot more pleasant and a lot easier. And, then that gives you and your husband some quality time together. If somebody else is coming in and doing some basic cleaning, well, that's more time he's got with you and the children. Things like that could make life a lot easier. But look, sweetie,
Yeah,
I
'cause
know
I
he's
miss my
learned his
kids a
lesson.
lot. I've been in and out the hospital since December, and it's about to be December again, and I've been in and out the hospital every single month.
Yeah, but look, I can't speak medically. I'm not a doctor, but what I can see on an energetic level is once the family's reunited again, I think you're having less hospital visits. Like you seem to be happier in yourself, and that sort of is helping. I don't say curing anything, but it's helping the situation, sweetie. So,
Yeah,
just
I miss my husband
happy to have
dearly.
him. You what, darling?
I said, no, I miss my husband dearly. Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Oh, of course you do. Of course you do. But I'm pretty certain on Friday you're going to get a good result. Anyway, that's where we've got to leave it. We've come to the end of the show. It's a really difficult time when people are going through things in their lives, changes in their lives for whatever reason, and illnesses and things like that. It makes family life very strained. And, we all have complications and things in our lives that go on that we sometimes don't quite understand why, that, we've got a blockage in our lives or things aren't going the way that we planned it. That's part of, being a soul and being here on earth and learning our lessons and going through the journey of life, of understanding, of making us a better person. We come here with so many lessons that we need to learn and work through, and sometimes we can't understand why those lessons are so intense. This week I want to leave you with one of my ultimate favourite songs, and it's a song that if I'm feeling a little bit down or I need a little bit of motivation, I put this one on the turntable, and it's something that never gets old for me. And I think it's very appropriate, particularly with the election in the US at the moment and other elections going on around the world. Please make sure you go and vote. Here in Australia, we have to. We don't get a choice. It's compulsory. But make your voice heard. Cast your vote, sort of say what you want as a person, and sort of then you can sort of turn around and say, well, I did my bit, I did vote. So I'm going to leave you with the one and only John Farnham and You're the Voice. Make it count. So until next week, have a great week, and we'll see you then. Bye.